everyone. We want to welcome everybody to a very exciting panel. This is Pets in Social Media. My name is Jessica Girk. I'm the PR director here at Helen Woodward Animal Center. And I think I speak for all of us when I say my heart's beating a little bit faster. I love this beautiful group of people and their beautiful pets. And I think that one of the things that means so much to us is everybody here on this panel, you guys all understand how special animals are, how much joy they bring to us, how many beautiful lessons they teach us each day. And it is impossible for me to pick one of these animals that is my favorite. They all bring me so much joy. I'm going to go ahead and do a brief introduction for each one of you. I know that so many people watching follow you guys, know who you are, but I do think that I should give a little introduction. I'm just going to kind of go in the order that you guys are on my screen. So I'm starting with Alicia Bailey and Boogie Shoes. And if I say anything wrong, please feel free to correct me, because I know some of the stats might be a little off at this point. I know Boogie Shoes is only 2 pounds. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2.2.
2.2. Found when he weighed only 12 ounces. And how old is Boogie?
He just turned 5 years old.
Just turned 5 years old. Now, Boogie was born with cerebellar, how do you say that, hypoplasia?
It's called cerebellar hypoplasia. Yes, it's a neurological disorder.
Yes, and that was what gives him his little signature Boogie move.
Yes, it just, the most major side effect is he has coordination issues. So he has this little wobbly boogie that he does everywhere he goes, and that's how he got his name.
He's absolutely beautiful, and one of the things I've always loved about animals, and one of the things I love about the message that you spread with Boogie, is that animals don't pity themselves. They live their lives to the fullest with joy. And so you even have been visiting schools and is this a new thing with Zoom lately?
Well, we started Zoom when the summer camps were canceled. As you know, all the in-person events were canceled. So we started offering summer camps and visits with Boogie through Zoom. So that's been pretty fun. Not the same as in person, but you know, he still gets to connect with kids.
Frozen here.
But yeah.
So fantastic. I love Boogie, and welcome Alicia, and thank you so much for being part of the panel. I'm going to move on to the next person on my screen, which is Courtney and Tuna. Tuna, also known as Baby and Shrivel Neck, I know are some of the names.
And Mommy and a bunch of other ones, yes.
10-year-old Chewini, and pardon me?
This month.
This month?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Known for his signature overbite, and there it is. How we love it. How we love that little face. I know you rescued him. He's a rescue dog as well. You found him at a farmer's market when he was being shown there, and he's become an ambassador for rescue. And we want to welcome Courtney and Tuna. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited.
And then I want to move on to Karen with Sunglass Cat. Also, Bagel is actually her name, correct? But known as Sunglass Cat, 7 years old. Also a Los Angeles rescued from the Los Angeles shelter out there. Was born with no eyelids, and also a condition so that she can't regulate her own body temperature. And you embraced those unique traits about her and found a way to protect her eyes with her sunglasses and regulate her body temperature with beautiful clothing. And she now has, I know, 600 pairs of sunglasses, and is inspiring people and reminding people that we can embrace our differences and they can make us very special. So we're very happy to have you here, Karen.
Thanks for having us. We're really happy to be here.
Thank you. And then our last but certainly not least is Nala Cat. And we've got Pookie and Shannon here with Nala Cat. Nala is also a rescue. I love that these animals are all rescues. She was relinquished to a shelter when she was only 5 months old, has become one of the most famous, I think even has a Guinness Book record for being the most famous Instagram cat and spreads joy and also spreads the message of rescue. We are so pleased to have you guys here as well. So thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you so much for having us. And
So I wanted to kind of kick this off, and maybe we can go down and talk to each of you about what it was that inspired you to begin a social media account for your pets, because there's so many people here. Everybody that's watching today probably has a pet and maybe has an orphan pet, but not everybody gets inspired to start a social media. So maybe we could start with Alicia and ask you what inspired you to start an account for Boogie.
I mean, 100% awareness for pet adoption. I have 5 rescue dogs, and when I met Boogie, you know, I met him a couple of days after he was brought to the shelter, and I had never had a dog with a special need, especially a neurological, and I was just in love with him right away. And no matter what the situation was, it was like he was so funny and just like so full of love, and just loved him so much that I thought really bring awareness to pet adoption, because as all of the panelists know, it takes one person to just commit to giving a homeless animal their best life, you know? And so that's what I try to show with Boogie's feed, is that, you know, if you're gonna put a pet in your family, choose adoption.
I love that very much. I love it so much. I love that message. And what about you, Courtney? Could you tell us about Tuna and what it was, and why did you suddenly decide to start a social media site for Tuna?
Yeah, so I adopted Tuna at a farmer's market when he was a 4-month-old puppy, and then he didn't have his teeth at the time. But over the year of me having him prior to starting an account, his teeth grew in, and I just started collecting photos of him for fun. There was no other reason. And this was around the time when Instagram was conceived. So when I got Tuna is I think when Instagram started, and then a year later, I joined and started an account. And the reason I started is because I didn't want my own personal account. And at that time in 2011, no one really had animal accounts. Like, that's not really what Instagram was set up for. But because I had all these photos and he was really funny. And if you look back at my feed from the beginning, it is horrible. There's no art direction. The photos were grainy and dark. I didn't have any good captions. So it was just literally to post about Tuna, and I didn't have any intention to garner a following at all. But it happened a year later. And it was amazing because as I was posting early on, people were saying how much joy he brings them and how funny he is. And I liked being a catalyst to bring people joy and laughter. So that's probably the motive of why I continue to do it. Not probably, it is. It's just became a mission for me to just use the account to bring people joy and laughter. And then, I don't know the math on this, but 7 years later, 9 years later, here we are.
That's amazing.
So,
really lovely, and we thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And what about you, Karen?
I originally, when I adopted Bagel, she was just so different and unique. So I actually put her on Twitter because I never knew or heard about Instagram. And wherever we went when she was little, we went to the beach right away and everybody wanted to hold her. So once I started on Twitter, somebody asked me, or basically told me I should put her on Instagram. I'm like, what's an Instagram? So they kind of schooled me on what Instagram was, and I just put her on there, and people were, commenting and reaching out to me and saying how happy they, that she makes them, and it just escalated from there. And then once, when I first adopted her and realized she was born without eyelids, and once I realized that she had that issue and she got her eye surgery, and then just realized her other issues, we really started advocating for special needs, because there's so many of them left in the shelters. Nobody wanted to adopt special needs.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that. And then Nala Cat, that certainly, she is a cat that has gone kind of through the roof. And what made you, because I think she's such a beautiful cat and you do such a beautiful job with her photos. She's a healthy cat, I think, like fairly healthy, right? So what was it about her that sparked you to say, oh, I think she could be an Instagram star?
All unplanned. We didn't
Not
plan.
plan.
Yeah, we didn't plan this, and I adopted her when she was around 4 to 5 months old. She's like perfectly fit in this box. Remember where she came from. But I had her for 2 years before I started her Instagram account. And my sister, she lives in Thailand, and she was the one who told me about Instagram and told me that I should start an account for Nala because she thinks Nala is really cute. I normally send her photo back to my sister to see, you know, we like animal lover. And yeah, since then she just blew up. Tuna and Nala go back
Yes.
long time.
Long time.
Nala will be 10 this month also. So yeah, and Pudge the cat, who isn't here, but all of these accounts sort of started at the same time, and they're all kind of the same age. But I think what people gravitate towards Nala is she's so cute and round. Everything about her is round eyes, a little bit cross-eyed. Her ears are round. Although she's, you know, a healthy tabby, she does look unique. She has very unique features, and it was and I think timing helped too. You know, we had good timing. We were one of the first animal accounts, and then paying attention, right, to people, they were interested. But yeah, I agree with Courtney. When you look back at the photos from early on, they're blurry and dark. And we look at some of the ads that we did back then. We're like, a brand would never approve this today.
Yeah. Well, I love that point, and I'd actually love to ask each of you, and maybe I'll go ahead and start with you, and I'd love to hear from Courtney and each one too. But do you have a specific post that when you think of that post, that was kind of the one that you're like, wow, you got a ton of response off that, and that kind of propelled your pet forward into this world? Or is there one particular post you can think of that really kind of blew up?
Photos?
Yeah, her peekaboo photo, that was like the first one that caught attention. Yeah. Then she does funny stuff like that. She's just playing.
The peekaboo photo. What was it of?
So her profile photo.
That's the peekaboo photo.
And that's been her profile photo since the very beginning. And then some of the other photos, people started creating memes. So there's one, she's grooming her fists and she's licking, but it looks like the "you can do it." Like,
oh yeah, that's great.
That went viral and it, you know, came back to her. So I think that, and her shark hat, her iconic shark hat.
I know we're talking about you.
Yeah, she knows we're talking about her. She misses people a lot. She misses attention. She does.
She loves being on a panel. Courtney, what about you? Was there a particular post that kind of blew up and made you know that Tuna was going to be kind of world famous?
Yeah, so what's really crazy, what happened, kind of like what Karen said, like Instagram was so new to me and everybody for that matter at that time. And what had happened was that night, I remember this so clearly, I went over to some friend's house and we would meet every Monday as a group of girls. And I went to charge my phone and 30 minutes later I looked at it and I had a text from a friend's boyfriend that said, "Tuna's famous, 15K. And I wrote, ha ha ha, he has 8,500, thinking it was like a mistake. And he screenshot it and it said 15K. And then I refreshed my page and I had 16K. And I didn't know what was going on at that time because I went from 8,500 followers to double in a matter of a half hour. And back then, animals, like I said, they didn't really go viral like that I had experienced. And so I didn't know what was going on. And then someone was like, Instagram, I saw this on Instagram, and Instagram posted 3 photos in one of Tuna, and they chose really amazing photos. but I didn't know that Instagram had an Instagram. So that's kind of how Tuna got exposed. But I'll show you the photo. So,
Yeah.
so you see this photo? This is kind of his iconic photo. He's wearing a bow tie that I had just gotten from Target like the day before. And I think he must have like saw a fly or something and he made that. And I took the photo. And for as old as it is, it's a really good quality photo. I'm so surprised. I think that was like the iPhone 4 or something. He's totally sleeping, sorry. So all that to say, that photo has become a meme, and other people know him as Steven with a PH. I don't know if you know that, but someone else made a meme just kind of off that photo where it's like he has a lisp. And so that's what he looks like.
And then they discovered that his name is actually Tuna, after Mr. Burns from The Simpsons,
Yes.
right?
I named him Mr. Burns, and I was like, I'm way more creative than that. So I nicknamed him Chuny in the interim of me trying to come up with a more clever name. And I brought him back to Ohio, which is where I'm from. And my nephew at the time was 6. And he said, is his name Timmy? And I said, no, but that's an amazing name. And he said, is it Tuna? And I was like, yeah.
Yes, it is.
And then I changed it. And then I changed my handle to Tuna Melts My Heart, like literally the day before he went viral. So it was all very like meant to be.
Amazing. Amazing. I love that. What about you, Alicia? Do you remember a particular post that kind of blew up for Boogie?
It wasn't necessarily a picture though. It was, I had this video, I was just trying to find it, where he's literally just standing, but he's like standing there doing this.
Uh-huh.
It was like, you know, his highest liked video because we had just started, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's just standing there doing nothing except for his little, you know, wobble and bobble. And so that was kind of the indicator for us. So videos do much better for us than still photos, but
They get to see how he moves and how he interacts.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
And what about you, Karen? Did you have a particular?
I would say it's a particular post. Way back when, after she was adopted, we were out and about, and people were just always taking photos. But at the Los Angeles Feline Film Festival, that's where she basically went like viral there. They wrote a whole bunch of different articles with her around the world. So from there, it kind of escalated our Instagram from there. People were looking her up.
Yeah, I think I saw a post. Wasn't there an article written by the Washington Post?
Yeah, and that went viral too. Yeah, that was last June. That was huge, and that's what got us started. We had already planned on going to schools, but that really got us into the school system with that post. And as a matter of fact, teachers, it's on a network. Her article's on a network, and teachers from around the world have been teaching their classrooms or students, having them read that article and teaching them about acceptance of others who look and be different. And
love that.
Yeah.
Really love that. I feel all the time, I mean, every day I've been working at Helen Woodward for 8 years, and I feel like I become a better person by watching animals every day. They teach me all the time. They're kind, and they certainly don't pity themselves, and they just go through life in such a beautiful way. And I think that's what people really are inspired by. I wanted to ask each one of you, because I know quite a few of you have other pets. I wanted to ask if you would just give me, tell me either if you have pets now or if you've had pets in the past, and what it was that was different about this pet. What do you think it is about this one that has kind of touched the world? And Karen, we can go ahead and start with you since I've got you right here on my screen.
Yeah, I've had pets, well, cats my entire life. I started, I'm sorry?
Do you have any others right now?
Yeah, I do. I've got 2 other special needs. I've got a senior who is partially paralyzed in his rear legs, and that's Sugar. And then I had a rescue just contact me recently about another special needs cat that is deaf and severely visually impaired. So I went and rescued her from not really, I wouldn't want to say a hoarding, but the living conditions were really horrific. I mean, she was just sitting in urine. So as soon as I rescued her, I took her up to the mountains for several hours just so she could breathe some fresh air. So those are my 2 other special needs that I have. And I have a couple other cats and a dog.
And do they seem jealous that they don't have an Instagram account, or are they pretty good with it?
No, they all do have an Instagram account except for the new one, but it's hard to run it myself.
Yeah.
That's numerous accounts. So, but my new deaf one, she does. So I put her on a few photos. And my dog, he does, just because he's really unique looking.
That's great. And what about you, Shannon and Pookie? Do you guys have you have 5 other cats and a dog, right?
Yeah.
We're at maximum capacity. So I think we need a bigger house.
Right. And some of them are Instagram famous, right? You've got they have sites too, and some are pretty popular, right? Coffee Cat, is that one? Or
We got Coffee. He's actually here. So we got Coffee from a student who was studying at UCLA who couldn't keep him. She got caught with him in her apartment. So she gave him to Pookie's sister, and then her sister went back to Thailand after studying. So he ended up being with us, and so
He's a cancer survivor.
he's our cancer survivor. So we believe that his path went that way to be with us. You know, we found it when it was like
1.5, kind of 1 year and 4 months old when he was diagnosed with kidney lymphoma.
So we did chemotherapies. He's our survivor. So he's our like beacon of hope and wellness, and he's brave. And then we have Luna. Luna is our Craigslist kitty. She was being rehomed, I think, because she had orthopedic issues. Her 2 front paws are slanted inwards. So we just got shorter furniture, our bed. We just got smaller beds. She can cuddle with us still. And then we have Apollo. He's our foster Phil. He was just so needy when we fostered him. And we were told he was actually one of the first kitties that we took in under foster. So we were learning along the way, and we were like, he's hiding from us. What do we do? So we were told, force love on him. So we forced love on him every day. And then how can we find him a home after that? Because then
in love with you now.
Yeah. So he's he's awesome. He's amazing. He's like the most real cat of them all. Like Mala forgets she's a cat, I think. He won't climb without a stool, you know.
Right.
And then we have Stella and Steve. I adopted Stella and Steve for my nieces when we adopted them. We got them the 2 kitties to, for therapy, and so that was the beginning of my cat obsession. They're the oldest ones.
Got it.
And we have Spencer, our dog, and he's from Hawaii too. So all the black and white ones. Yeah.
Now, what about you, Courtney? I know you have a new beautiful baby, but do you have another? There's not another sibling in the house. I think Tuna has maybe a cousin or 2, right?
So Tuna has what we call his half brother. And so my husband was driving one day in our neighborhood to go get lunch, and he called me and he said, Courtney, I just found a stray. Should I bring him back? I was like, 100%. And this sweet pup was so thin and didn't have a collar, and nails were really long. We put it in the bath, and the bath water just turned like a rust color, and it just fleas everywhere. And so we took it up to the local vet to just get medication for the fleas, and then to see if it was microchipped, and the dog wasn't. And the woman told me, she's like, put a missing person sign, but try and find a foster. And if you can't, try and find someone to adopt. And we traveled so much last year that we were like, we can't take this dog. So I texted my neighbor, and I said, do you know anybody that would be interested in fostering or adopted? And she goes, maybe I am. And she texted that she had spent the last 2 days at the shelter looking for a dog, and none of the dogs, they just didn't connect. And so she sees this little dog, and she loved him immediately. And he lives 4 houses down, and she named him Fish. So it's Tuna Fish, Fisch.
That's great.
His name is Fish, and he's Tuna's half brother, and they love each other. They're kind of like opposites as far as they're the same size, same build, but he's like long, wiry hair, and he has a very like pronounced
Oh, an
underbite.
underbite.
Yeah,
Oh,
so they love each other.
that's great.
But one thing I did want to say, which because you asked like, you know, what makes him different for other people. What I was thinking for me is what made Tuna different is that I actually grew up with my mom like having dogs in the house, but she always got them from backyard breeders. And I didn't know what fostering or adopting was until I was 28 when I met Tuna. I didn't know like anything about this world. And so that's been a really unique experience, like having this platform and being introduced to so many amazing pet owners that have rescued or adopted, and then just like getting to know so many other organizations like your guys's. I love what you do every September with the Remember Me Thursday. So it's just been really cool to like have a dog that's like a rescue. And I'm sure everyone can speak for this, is they love differently. I feel like there's just a gratitude. So yeah.
I love that you said that, because I grew up with the dog that we had was from a backyard breeder as well. And
Yeah.
I try to explain all the time, when you grow up with a dog from a backyard breeder, you literally don't know. You don't know that you don't know. And it's so weird, because once you get into the world of animal welfare, it seems strange when you hear about people that have backyard breeder dogs and you think, well, what don't you know about rescue? But they don't. So what you guys do and the message that you send, I honestly feel like it's changing the way people see rescue and the way that they're starting to understand the need and the importance. And it's part of why you guys are all such wonderful, wonderful advocates for us. We're just so blessed to have you out there spreading the message. And what about you, Alicia? Can we talk a little bit about, you have 5 other rescue Chihuahuas, is that correct?
I do. It was an like accident on purpose. I never thought like, oh, I'm going to be the lady with 5 dogs, but oops. They all have something sort of crazy. Like my first rescue, no one wanted him. He was a biter, and we were like, we'll take him. And then from there, we, you know, adopted him a friend. And then Boogie was actually a foster fail because, you know, he had the neuro issue. So he needed a foster, and he was a puppy, and he couldn't be in the shelter. So I volunteered to foster, and it didn't take long before I was like, okay, you're staying with us. And then in March, right before the pandemic hit, I adopted another neurological dog who's about Boogie's size. His name is Buster, and he has hydrocephalus, and he has a lot of, like he can't walk or stand on his own. So we're still trying to figure out what all his neuro issues are, but I don't know. There's something about my heartstrings just get pulled every time I see any animal in need, especially one that isn't, you know, that's having a hard go of it, you know, who's going to have a hard time or who's going to wait a little longer. But I want to go back to what you said about when people don't know, like when they grow up and they're not in that rescue world and they don't know. I'm sure everybody here, like we do, we get a lot of messages and, you know, little notes all the time about, my dog just passed away and I bought her, but now I want to adopt a dog. Can you point me in the direction of how to adopt? And I think those are the best moments for us, because it just kind of shows like, you don't have to, you know, scream the message home. You can just sort of show that these dogs and cats have a great life. They have great, you know, humans that are dedicated to giving them their best life, and you can do it too. So I just wanted to add that in, because I'm pretty sure everybody gets those messages, like, help me adopt.
mean, I really think that what has changed I hope that you guys can, did I just freeze there for a second? But I think that what has really changed for rescue is social media. I really feel that celebrities that rescue and the celebrity animals are changing the world of rescue. So we're just really, really grateful to you guys. Now, on a kind of fun and light note, I'd love to know how often you guys post and how you prepare. Like, how do you come up with a concept for what sort of a post you want to do and what sort of a photo shoot you're going to do? Do you have kind of some thoughts on how you do that each day? Or do you do it each day? How often do you do it? We'll start with you, Alicia.
Oh, okay. I'm probably the least planning of the panel. Like my photos, he does get some professional style photos that are really pretty and bright, but a lot of his photos are just his day-to-day life. So I really honestly don't have a plan. He does something funny, I post it. If he has some situation happening with his disability that I think might be informative, I post it. But I'm probably not the panelist to tell you how to curate the most beautiful feed.
Well, look your posts anyway. Courtney, how often do you post?
Thank you.
You come up?
Oh, really just once a day. I don't have time to do any more than once a day, and I don't use stories as much as I should, but I do try to use them to promote other animals for adoption and things like that. But we're a one-a-day poster.
That's great. And what about you, Courtney? How often do you post, and how do you come up with your photo concepts?
Yeah, so I'd actually say that I'm similar to Alicia in a lot of ways. A lot of his best photos are just him in his natural habitat. If you follow Tuna, you know that he loves to sleep, and he would do it for 22 hours a day if I would let him. He loves being burrowed under the covers. When his teeth are sticking out, those get some of the best responses, and his eyes when they like move over, I keep attention. But a lot of it is just organic. When I do partnerships like for branded content, that requires a little bit more creativity and thought, and I'm sure that Shannon and Pookie can agree with that, where like you have to, you get into this like advertising marketing mode, but you're also the creative director and you're conceptualizing. And so everything that we do at Tuna is very much in brand with his personality and what I would think would be his style, or what, we actually believe in is a good fit for us. And so those require a little bit more creativity and effort, but he's so, what's the right word for it? Like, he's just so agreeable, and just, he's not somebody that like doesn't like doing this. He just kind of will like lie back. Oops, someone got a still of that. We'll do it again. So yeah, but those are, and when his shrivel neck is out, those are some of the
love his shrivel neck. And Colin.
Yes, where is that guy? So there are so many of these lying around our house, but this is one of them.
Colin, I love Colin. Yeah, I know, because that's something that you did a whole calendar with Colin.
Yeah, we called it the colander. Because, if you guys don't know who Tuna and Colin are, go look it up in like last week's post. Colin is Tuna's best friend, and I left him at a park years ago and put up a missing person sign, and he was returned to us. And then the company of Colin ended up sending us like 10 or 15 before they stopped manufacturing. So we have a bunch.
Sorry. Give me a second. Wow.
Got a fire alarm?
Yeah.
Are you all right over there? Well, while Karen goes to check on her fire alarm, let me ask Pookie and Shannon about. Let's go back to that question about how do you prepare, or how do you come up with the concepts for your posts, and how often do you post?
We usually one post a day. We try to do IG story, like 3 to 4 IG story.
Once the dog
she's sleeping. 3 to 4 story every day. But I agree with everyone. We
don't really plan. I mean, we have a
plan.
content calendar, but all that's in there are the branded posts. And then every other day, it's like we just flip through our phone. Like, what do we have? What do you have? Do you have something? I don't hear. And then we're like airdropping stuff to each other.
Yeah.
But, you know, the best content is the organic content.
One.
And when we set up for our ads, we usually just put whatever we need to photo. We just leave it out, and then when Nala's ready. So sometimes it takes us a couple of days until she wants to do it, but I wish she doesn't mind doing it, but sometimes when has more energy, her eyes are bigger, and you know she's just, you know, like more dilated, and so we wait for her to be ready for that moment. But
So is that a particular time of the day? Is there a particular time?
The evenings are really good. The lighting is perfect. Her eyes are big, and
she's up from her nap.
yeah. But she's naturally silly and clumsy and cute, so it's easy to capture something. Like when we see her that she's about to jump from like one counter to the other, we're automatically gonna film that because we know she'll either slip.
Oh.
And she doesn't get hurt. She's a cat, so she'll land on her feet. But we'll usually get something pretty amazing that her community can relate to.
Great. Now tell me this, do each one of you have somebody that you noticed that started following you that you were excited about, like a celebrity that might have started following you that you're like, oh my gosh, that's cool? Can you think of anybody that's following Nala that you were kind of impressed by, or no?
The voice of Siri followed Nala on Twitter, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was we were like, this might be the coolest one. And then when Tuna followed Nala, I was a fan of Tuna before I met Pookie. So me and Pookie met through Nala.
Yeah, she brought you together, right?
Together. So I already was in love with Tuna. So when I found out that she knew Tuna, and that we were gonna cross paths at an event, I was like, oh my God, I get to see Tuna. I brought treats.
She went to get treats.
Yeah, that was the time, Courtney, you forgot the leash and you used your belt. And I was like, I love her even more. You know?
Oopsies. Yeah. And what is so crazy, they just mentioned this, but Pookie and I met at this event that like, this guy flew us out. He just had released this product for pets. He's like, would you want to come to Chicago? And I was like, yeah, my best friend lives in Chicago. You know, I was like, sure. And then Pookie shows up, and this is like the first thing I think we've ever done. What was that, in like 2012 or 13?
Yeah, it was
it was just, it was really crazy. But are you guys finished? Because I have one that I.
Oh yeah, I'm curious, Courtney. Who were you excited?
Yeah, so I remember this really well because it was in 2016, and my now husband was coming to visit me in New York, and I was waiting for him to land because he lived in London, and I was waiting for him to land, and I was just going on social media waiting, and as one does, right? And then I got this, I don't have notifications, but somehow like I went and checked who posted me, and someone that was an avid Lady Gaga fan posted that Lady Gaga followed Tuna. She
wow.
Around it, and I was like, what? And at the time, I think Lady Gaga had like followed 25 people.
Wow.
And now she follows less than 50. And about a year ago, E! News did a feature on the fact that like Lady Gaga only follows like this elite group of people, and then they mentioned that Tuna was one of them. They're like, I'm this weird Cellini. You know, and I was like, what? you know, like it was just so weird that like we were in the elite club. So and on occasion, because I think it's just cool that on occasion I'll look and see like maybe she's unfollowed him and she's still like my heartbeat goes back up and I'm like, oh, she still follows. So I'd say that's one of the coolest. And one of the other coolest ones is years ago, and I don't even think that she follows Tuna, but Reese Witherspoon was being interviewed for these 72 questions or 73 questions on Vogue. And the interviewer was following her around in her yard, and he said, besides you, who should everyone be following on social media or on Instagram? And she turned and looked at the camera and she goes, Tuna melts my heart. And I was like, again, so that was cool. But I don't even think she actually follows Tuna in real life.
Maybe she does it under a secret name.
Yeah, maybe under a secret name, or maybe like her PR person said, follow this dog, he's so cute, and then she never did. But I thought it was cool.
That's very cool. And what about you, Karen? Do you have any? Oh, there he is. There's Karen, do you have anybody that follows you guys that you were kind of excited to see that they were following you?
You know, sadly, no, I really don't keep up with who's following us, and I don't even check on it.
Right. You might have cooler people following you than you even realize.
I have no idea.
What about you, Alicia? Anybody fun?
I'm the same as Karen. I don't really have anyone like super famous or anything. I get excited when all the other, famous dogs follow me, or like a new dog that I didn't know had a huge following follows me. But yeah, we don't, and maybe I'm just not looking, but we're just, we just have your run of the mill followers.
Yeah, the celebrities are kind of secret and private about it.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a neat way to meet other celebrity animals, I mean,
right.
all of us, you guys, your animals are our celebrities too. And so getting to meet each other must be a nice little forum to meet each other.
Yeah, that's cool. There's just so many. There are so many animals on Instagram now.
There are only a few that have the type of numbers that you guys have. So now we're getting a ton of questions coming in, so from viewers. So I want to make sure that I get to as many of those as I can. And I know we only have 16 minutes left. So maybe I'm just going to grab some of these. All right. Okay, so here's a neat question. Boogie Shoes and Sunglasses Cat, what resources would you recommend for first-time parents of special needs pets?
Oh, that's a good question. Use Google as much as you can. Go check out local rescue. If you have a rescue that's special needs, you can use, they're great resources. A lot of the people who do that type of rescue work and have the facilities, they can really help you out and guide you with anything that you need to know. Sorry, she's eating her treat.
I agree with Karen in looking for your resources from where you adopted. But if you found a special animal, like you don't have a rescue that you found them from, look up animals like Sunglasses Cat or like Boogie, because they will typically have a blog, or they'll have links to other resources, or their posts will be informative and show you how they approach physical therapy or dealing with other things like that. It's just, you sort of have to be your own advocate when you have a special needs animal, because the information is sometimes hard to find, but it's out there. And don't hesitate to reach out to someone on Instagram that you see as special, like Sunglasses Cat, and ask, because you're probably going to get an answer, because we love helping people, that's for sure.
That does happen a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
People reaching out to you quite a bit?
Yes, they reach out. Yep. And even with the cat that I just rescued, that's deaf and severely visually impaired. I was doing research about how to care for a deaf animal. I've got a friend who has a deaf dog, so and I was reaching out to her. And my cat, her name is Lox, Bagel and Lox. the person that I was talking to that I got her from, she thought that she had a neurological disorder. And what I discovered from just sitting and watching her nonstop for the first 24 hours is that her eyeballs, the way she looks, her eyeballs, she's really cross-eyed, and they're at the top of her, basically her eyes, her retina's like at the top of her head. So when she's walking, she does this a lot, you know, with her head. And that's how she sees, because she can't move her eyes around at all. So the way she looks is by bobbing her head all over. So it makes it look like she's got a neurological disorder, but she actually sees everywhere she wants to go by moving her head in that direction. I mean, she even jumped from the floor up to one of my windows, which is a good, you know, it's a good probably 3 feet in the air. And she jumped up to look out the window, and she was able to do that, but it's all based on her movement of her head. But yeah, use the resources. You know, people reach out to me all the time, and sometimes I can't immediately answer, but I get them on Facebook and on Instagram, questions all the time.
Thank you so much for that. Now here, somebody asked, Charlie Loves Leg asked, any hints on growing your followers on Instagram? Does anybody have?
Shannon. Geniuses in the subject. I like all their animals have billions of followers. They'd be the best.
Yeah. Consistency is like one of their the most important thing.
Yeah, like this was unintentional at first, right? Because algorithm and all of that. But once we started paying attention, we were able to see little, you know, tricks and that we could do to grow the accounts that we had later on. So like Luna Rose and Coffee, understanding the algorithm and then using it to your advantage. So so the algorithm is 24 hours, for example, right? So if you post 2 photos in 24 hours, your second photo will compete with the first, bumping it off the algorithm wave, right? So that's why we stick to the one day. And, you know, back in the day, you could post 5 times a day and they all didn't compete with each other. So it's about paying attention to what other people are doing. We too learn from watching what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Carousel photos are great because if someone didn't react to the first photo, the second photo will be in their feed. So you get a second chance for someone to react to it. So I think like 10% of people see your post, and if those people don't comment or engage, it doesn't open up to 15, 20, 30% of your audience. So you want, you know, questions in your comments help to engage participation. And then IG story, you know, 3 to 6 stories up at a time helps, because the brain that calculates the numbers of views doesn't know if it's 1 clip or 100 clips. It just counts the overall numbers. So the more you got up there, the more views you have, then you might be on the explore page.
Oh, wow.
Be more, you know, more visible. People can discover you, you know, people who never saw you before. So
Yeah, and it's a combination of doing photo, video,
yeah,
IGTV, IG story.
Yeah, so
You go live, you kind of have to use all of it.
it's like a car. You don't want to drive with 3 tires. So you want to always have, you know, the stories up. You want to go live. You want to do the video to photo ratio. Take a look at what Instagram is highlighting. So if you see them featuring a certain sticker, use it, because it means it has a better algorithm. If you see the explore page and you see it's 80% video making it to that page, then post the video that day. Post, do you know what I mean?
There's science to it. That's fascinating.
But we
I just learned so much from them. I just learned so much.
can't do it all.
And then verticals, because you want to take up the most real estate on a phone. If you post a square, that person will see the post before and after you. So you kind of want to do vertical, stretch your photo so that you take up the whole phone so that you can capture someone's attention. And then one last thing, IGTV, the algorithm is 7 days. So post 1 every 7 days.
Oh.
And it won't compete with your other posts. It's its own thing. And Instagram is really focusing. So whatever Instagram is focusing on, participate more in that, and that's how you'll grow faster.
Fantastic. Those are great tips. Really.
Yeah.
That's like
And one thing they said that really quick, one thing they said that I think is, besides consistency and following all the algorithm, and they mentioned this, is just engaging with the comments and liking the comments. And, you know, I probably pay the most attention to the comment section. So like, if you're trying to get my attention, DMing me is not going to get my attention the same way as like, tell me I DM'd you, because I don't go through and look at my DMs as much because they just get too many, especially now that you can, you know, mention people in stories. It just fills up too fast and it becomes overwhelming. But like engaging with people, if they ask you a question or if they compliment, like that's also how you grow your loyalty. Like your follower, I've had followers that have been around since Colin was lost. And I know that because of like, it's been 7 years. And I'm like, you've been following for 7 years? But they probably feel like a member of our family now because I interact with people and I make time for them when I meet them in person too. So I just think that that's really important because your followers are what keeps your accounts running.
Yeah, I have to tell you something kind of funny about that, Courtney. So, you know, I follow Tuna and I'm a big, big fan. And my sister has always known it. And my sister discovered Tuna through me. And one day she became one of Tuna's top fans and she literally apologized to me. She called me and she's like, I'm so sorry, Jessica. I know you really deserve it.
I love that. That's awesome. And that's even too, like, people love that because then, like, if I write them, they're like, you wrote me? And, you know, it's just so, I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? But it makes people's days. And I just love that. I love when people get joy over his account and his face.
Yeah. That little face.
And building a persona. So crafting a persona. What is your online presence? And then we second that with Courtney. I think we replied to almost all Nala's.
Yeah, I'm trying.
We try our best.
Right.
It'll be hard if you have that many millions of people reaching out. But yeah, it's amazing.
30 minutes after I post, I kind of try to respond to people, but I can't monitor it all day.
Yeah. But building a personality is what helps a lot because people know what to expect. You know, it makes them connect emotionally.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you, I want to go down. Let's start with Alicia real quick. Just tell me one thing. What's your one favorite trait about Boogie? And I'd love everybody to answer just their one favorite trait about each of their beautiful pets that are here with us this evening.
His is without. So he's always in derp mode. Oh, it should be his wobbles and his little dancey dance, but it's the tongue. It's just like too big for his body and it just hangs out. So I love that.
All right. What about Tuna, Courtney?
So I think a lot of people really love Tuna's teeth because he's not the only dog with an overbite. It makes him unique. But I'm going to show you this. And by the way, I put this, I found this in my closet today. Sorry. This is my this shrivel neck is just when he's really on his back. Let me see if I can do it. No, he's not going to do it. But you see it? It's just so, I eat it. It's so perfect. So yeah. I would say my favorite is his shrivel neck. And today I actually took a photo of his shrivel ankle. I'm going to show you right now. It was so good, you guys. His ankle was shriveling. And that, okay, ready? No one's seen this before.
Oh, fantastic.
Ankle? Fantastic. Amazing. So I would say it's the shrivel neck. I love it.
It's divine. It really is. What about you, Karen? Favorite trait of Sunglass Cat?
Oh gosh. She's besides being cute, of course, super chill.
Her chill, how chill she is.
Yep. I mean, she is really chill. I can take her to the park and put her in a baby swing and just push her and she'll just sit there and enjoy the heck out of it. When she's ready to get out, she'll just jump out of the foot and that's it. You know, I can put her down and, you know, in front of street art and she'll just sit there and pose. It's crazy. You know,
yeah,
I could
unusual for a cat because like we use them for pet encounter therapy here at Helen Woodward, and we have like maybe one cat. Well, we've used maybe 2 or 3 over the lifetime of the program because most cats are not so chill, and so when you find one that's really relaxed and loves being with people, it really is an exceptional thing. So
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. She came like that from the shelter, which is, it's just crazy. Never had a cat that chill in my life. So, and I try her in different situations and different settings, and she's always just chills out. I'm like, wow. Even to this day, it amazes me.
And what about Nala Cat? What's the one trait, if there's one trait?
Her mouth sometimes it doesn't close.
Yeah, she's pretty derpy too.
She's pretty derpy,
Yeah.
and if you guys notice, like when I take her photo, there's little hole in her mouth that is right.
Yeah, she doesn't like close her mouth all the way all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite. But then other people might say they like her cross eyes and
Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard to pick just one because she's amazing in so many ways. Like
But yeah, then my favorite is her mouth being a little open all the time and
mine are probably her cross eyes.
So I wanted to say again how grateful we are to have each one of you guys here. The work that you are doing, the messages that you are spreading, the way that you are spreading the message of rescue and how special animals are and the joy that you're bringing is really incredible. And I want to give each one of you just a minute or two to say anything that you would like to say about either your cat or your dog or your accounts or Instagram or just being a part of the animal welfare world. So why don't we go ahead and start with you, Pookie and Shannon, and any little thing that you wanted to say to wrap up.
I think adopt, don't shop, and there's a lot of cats in the shelter that need help. If you can't adopt but you have time to foster, that also help a lot of take a lot of burden out of the shelter, and they can bring in more animals. Yeah.
And Nala really changed our lives in so many ways. She adopted 2 human kids and adopted us. So that's how I look at it. And so everything we do is in her name. And this is all the work we do. This is her legacy. And so we want to make her proud, and we want to continue spreading the message. Generations to come. We won't stop.
That's great. Thank you guys so much. And what about you, Alicia? Any closing words?
I think I just, I mirror what Pookie said was, just if you're going to add a pet to your family, choose adoption. And if you can't adopt, then foster or volunteer even, or be a social media volunteer. Oh, my other dogs are going to the bathroom. Just adopt, don't shop. I'm with you on that. That is the #1 message that I know we try to spread on our accounts. Okay, should I mute you? Okay. And then that also.
Karen, any final words?
Basically the same thing. Rescuing is something major, and people really need to rescue their animals. Definitely adopt, don't shop. Fostering, especially, during kitten season. And these days, kitten season seems to be all year long. So if you cannot adopt and if you cannot have an animal, fostering helps a lot of these rescues out. It helps clear the shelters. And, just if everybody could do their part, and even if you cannot foster, like Alicia said, volunteer. There's so many rescues out there that need help. They need help 24/7. So, they have a lot of times bottle babies, bottle kittens need to be fed, and they have a nursery, and the nurseries are open 24/7. So if you can get out there, especially if you're a night person and you can stay up all night long, that's when the animals really need you, is in the middle of the night. So if you can, do your part and help out.
Love that. Thank you, Karen. And final word from you, Courtney and Tuna.
What do you want to say? I would say that everybody who has a social media account, whether you have 5 followers or 5 million followers, you have an audience. So there are people that are paying attention to you. So number 1, use your following, like use your platform to be an influencer, like influence people. And so like if you have the capacity because of your story or the information that you have, use it to spread awareness for animal rescue and adoption or whatever cause is close to your heart. Like it's really valuable because people are listening and paying attention. And on that note, I would also say, just be careful about like your etiquette on social media too, because I just did a post about this the other day. I feel like right now there's so much division in the world and there's so many opinions. And a lot of times I feel that people get on social media and there's a lot of judgment and condemnation and criticism. And I would just encourage people, if they have an account, use it to bring people joy and laughter and spread awareness. Let's not come on here and like ridicule one another and judge, and because that just, it gets so messy and it takes the joy out of what the intention is behind this. So that's kind of what I would say, is just use your platform wisely and use your voice wisely, because you know they might not be able to see who you are, but the anonymity doesn't give us the permission to just use it for like soapboxing, I guess. So
I read that post. It meant a lot to me. I appreciate what you said there. And I appreciate all of you, because all of you bring joy to so many people. You really do. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts from Helen Woodward Animal Center. We adore you and we appreciate your time tonight. So thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having
Thank you so much. Sorry about the smoke alarm.
Oh,
People shouldn't be
I
cooking
see
right
you.
now. Bye guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.